Well, it's breaking news and it's actually quite positive news. The government said it'll establish an independent football regulator after it endorsed recommendations made by a fan led review. The regulator will have the power to sanction clubs in English football who break financial and other rules. Maybe a bit too late for the Newcastle takeover. A new owners test will be introduced in legislation to give fans more of a say in the running of the game. It comes after the review made 10 recommendations to government on how to improve football governance. So it was chaired by Tracy Crouch, and obviously it comes a little bit in the wake of the failed Super League and the collapse of Bury FC, and obviously Derby went to the brink, and it's just not good for those communities. So I actually think that it's probably one of the few things that this government has done which I would endorse and say is positive. A lot of the other things, austerity, the treatment of migrants, their disregard for COVID rules, handing out contracts to their friends in relation to COVID, all those things are bad, but this is good. So let's give them a bit of credit. So this is an enormous step forward, and there is a bit of an unclear time frame, but at least something is being done. Now, the new regulator will be backed by law. Now, that's the important thing, and it allow them to hand out punishments and also have financial oversight of clubs, meaning that they can investigate and gather information. I think that Man City, Newcastle should be a little bit concerned about this. And also, like the owner's test, the fit and proper person owner's test needs to be absolutely more stringent. The takeover of Newcastle United probably shouldn't have happened. Abramovich obviously has been removed from Chelsea. Chelsea should be sold pretty soon, and the new test will be implemented before the acquisition, and so that it means the owners will have to fit past what they've described as an integrity test, and it'll mean that owners and executives, the stronger investigations into their activities and how they've obtained money and any links to sort of human rights abuse or links to maybe even sexual predatory behavior. And I really welcome this because you've seen, I mean, look at Berry, like, that was just a disgrace. The guy shouldn't have even, I think it's Mr. Dale, I can't remember his first name. He basically didn't care. Berry was just an asset, but Berry is really important to a number of people. To be fair to Mel Morris, I think he was ill-advised. I don't think his intentions were bad. He overspent and he couldn't go on, but obviously he was a bit stupid. But I think he wanted Derby to be a good club, and he supports Derby. So I kind of think there's different types of owners, but there's definitely some unscrupulous owners that are bottom feeders that will look to take over clubs in distress, especially if they own their own stadium. If you look at the price of land and you look at the price of real estate in the UK now, like a football club could be sat on a huge piece of land that could be redeveloped. So if you can swoop in and sell the land, you might be able to make money, and that can't happen. Football clubs need to own their own stadiums, and they need to not be able to be just asset stripped like this. So it is a massive step forward, but let's also hold our horses and see if it will actually bring real change. The Premier League are understandably wary of anyone with a stated desire to reform football. The Premier League have made an awful lot of money. The clubs have made a lot of money. The TV deal's been huge, and it's become a product, a global product, like Disney or like whatever, Nike or something. It's a global product, and it's been monetized. And having said all that, there's still some trends inside of the Premier League that are really bad. Burnley have just been taken over with a debt leveraged buyout, which is basically a US model of buying assets that mean that you use the cash flow from the asset that you're buying to service the debt. If Burnley were relegated, you'd imagine that there'd be some financial pain there, maybe even really big financial pain. Manchester United's owners, the Glazier family, did it using a leveraged buyout. And I believe that if you can't buy the asset outright, you shouldn't be able to leverage money upon it. That's just my personal view in relation to football. I think that football clubs are a little bit different to your traditional businesses. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. The government also need to make sure they've got football experts in there, and it, they really need to make sure that. I also believe that finances need to be redistributed down to the bottom of the game, because if you look at the jump in money, even from the Championship to the Premier League, it's gargantuan. It's no surprise that clubs like Norwich and West Brom previously just get promoted and relegated, and in order to bridge that gap, Aston Villa, for example, are a good example. They just about managed to survive, and then they spent an awful lot of money, and they're now 15th in the league anyway. Burnley have done it on a shoestring, but um, you know, the important thing is that this is happening. I also believe that some of the entities involved, like the culture secretary Nadine Doris, the Conservative Party are really good at capitalising upon populist issues. Boris is a very populist leader. Like if you look, he basically got elected on three-word "Get Brexit Done," and Nadine Doris, who's in my view, an unsavoury person, has said, "Football is nothing without its fans, and for too long the football authorities have collectively been unable to tackle some of the biggest issues. The government took decisive action to conduct a fan-led review, and today we have endorsed every one of the 10 strategic recommendations." So, again, they're going to try and capitalise on it because they're gearing up for an election in sort of 2024, shall we say. But it's a populist movement. But let's see. Um, we've got a long way to go in this country, and I really don't believe that money from Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, whatever, shouldn't be in the Premier League. If Russian money it can't be here, then I don't believe that money from the Gulf Cooperation Council countries should be here either. I also don't believe that the way that the Glaziers bought Manchester United should have been allowed, because or Burnley football clubs take over. And so let's see what happens. It's going to be a few years for the legislation to come through, but at least something's being done, and it can only be a positive thing. Anyway, what's your view? Please tell me. A long video, but I'd like to know what you think. Thanks for watching.